What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel, and then follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter so you guys don't miss any of our content over the course of this season. All right, let's talk some basketball. Hey, Jason, what's next for the Dallas Mavericks? They clearly have nailed their offseason moves, and Lively has been a grand slam. With Luka playing at this level, I'd love to hear your thoughts about the next steps for this team. All right, so in my opinion, once you have the guy, which is like a top-tier superstar that is capable of being the best player on a championship team, the next step to me is coming up with a very obvious five. Like five guys that like we're going down with, right? I think that's a really underrated element of the Denver Nuggets' success last year. Is like they had their clear five. They knew who they were going down with, right? That to me is that sort of congruency, so to speak, is just an important trait to a basketball team reaching their absolute potential ceiling, right? So first question is Kyrie the right number two? Now, I love the offensive fit, but there are some concerns about the idea of having two stars that aren't top-tier athletes that deeply impact the game defensively, right? Like if we go back, like you can do it. We saw Denver last year, right, with Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, but they had excellent defensive players at two of the positions and a guy with really good length in Michael Porter Jr. at that other spot. And so if it's Kyrie, you have to be really, really good defensively at the other position. So let's look at lineup construction. Now, remember what I always talk about is ideally, and again, this is just my ideal version of a basketball team. There are so many different ways to construct a basketball team. We actually had a conversation with the Nerd Sesh guys yesterday about this idea. Essentially, like, you know, what Kevin Durant views as the way to build a basketball team versus the way LeBron James views the way to build a basketball team, so on and so forth. It's really easy to pick one side or the other, but you can succeed in different ways. That said, my preferred construction is I want a skill guard, and then I want an athlete guard. Then I want a slender, kind of perimeter-oriented forward. And then I want a bigger, stronger, like frontline forward. Not like an old school power forward like Drew Gooden, but just like a big, strong athlete. Someone along the lines of like an Aaron Gordon, ideally, is what I want in that four spot. And then I want my center to be athletic and capable of working in different coverages, because playoff series just they kind of force you to have to be able to play multiple different ways depending on the matchup. And so having a center that can competently switch and competently run a deep drop and competently run a high drop where he has to get up to the level and back, up to the level and back, a guy who can blitz with active hands, you want lots of versatility from that position, right? So going down the line, to me, Kyrie is the skill guard, right? I think Josh Green is actually the guy that could be your athlete guard, and he's been unavailable as of late. But I actually think Josh Green is a good NBA starter, a guy that can be in that spot, right? Next is that slender kind of point of attack forward, the perimeter oriented forward. That's the question mark right now, right? I think Luka's your big power forward. Now, I know he doesn't really fill that role on offense. He's more of like a point guard, right? That said, I'm more talking about defense. Your position is who you can guard in the NBA, because offense, you can play, the geometry is kind of your own, whatever your skill set is, right? Like the Warriors play a really weird style. The Nuggets play a really different style. Like every team kind of has a different offensive style depending on their personnel, right? But defensively, it's about who you can guard, right? So I actually look at Luka defensively at his best as a low man, a guy who uses his size and basketball IQ to make plays on the weak side, either like tagging rollers, offering secondary help, cleaning up the defensive glass, so on and so forth. I also like him there just as a guy who can get the rebound and then start the break, right? So I look at Luka as your power forward there. And then that center position, Derek Lively could be that guy. Yeah, I agree. I think he's been a grand slam. It's amazing how a good draft pick or a good free agent signing can kind of change the fortunes of a franchise. Derek is a great athlete, obviously a clean fit offensively. Defensively, we'll see as the years go by. That usually takes some time, but I don't see any reason why he couldn't be similar to like a Nick Claxton in his ability as kind of a lanky center to defend in different coverages, right? And so that points us to the 3 spot as being their next most realistic target. The thing is with Kyrie being kind of a skill guard and with Josh Green being a good point of attack defender, but not like an outstanding point of attack defender, and with Luka being a lesser athlete at that 4 spot, I think it's really important that whoever it is they get at the 3 is a top tier perimeter defender if they want to contend for a championship. It needs to be a guy that at least defensively is capable of reaching that Lou Dort, Dylan Brooks, Jaden McDaniels, a bunch of different versions of those guys, right? But like a legitimate guy that can you can stick on the other team's best player for 7 games and make his life hell. If they can find that type of guy, it starts to make a ton of sense from a lineup construction standpoint to be like, if that guy is a big 6'8" athlete, then him and Lively provide so much athleticism. Him and Josh Green and Lively provide so much athleticism in that lineup that Kyrie and Luka being somewhat lesser athletes is not a problem. And as long as those guys are bought in, like the way they are this season, I think they can get enough stops while simultaneously being extremely difficult to guard. So that's the direction I'd be looking right now. Round out a clear number 5, a clear 5-man group by finding a top-tier perimeter defender to put at the 3.